Hi, I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome to this special edition of Rick Dancer TV. Tonight we're doing something a little different. We're going to talk about survivors and surviving. The other night my wife and I were watching a movie called Antoine Fisher about an African-American boy and his struggles just to survive in this world. I got to thinking, what is it about survival or surviving that scares us and yet kind of tempts us to want to see what we could really do? That's what this show's about tonight. About people, about their lives, about survivors, about the guts it takes to just live sometimes. I found that moment for me 4 years ago in January when I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. So we're going to start the stories right there.
When the phone rings and your doctor informs you you have cancer, life forever changes. I work in the television video production industry. I do online videos and decided after a lot of thinking to make my cancer very public.
So here's the thing. I have cancer, prostate cancer. And I'm just shocked, just kind of stunned and numb and scared and afraid.
My diagnosis came in January of 2010. I didn't want to die, but I also, to be honest, I didn't want to lose my ability to have an erection. I mean, that's a big concern for a guy.
I'm not afraid this is going to kill me. Prostate cancer is really treatable. I'm afraid of the process. I just don't want to do it. I don't want to live with cancer.
In my late 40s, my PSA jumped. At first, the PSA was 2, then 4, and that's when the biopsies began. It took 5 years and 5 biopsies to find cancer. My PSA was hovering at 20 when the cancer was discovered. That was the horrible process. We felt so alone while we were looking for a treatment. And I remember we'd go to doctor appointment after doctor appointment, and every time we'd come out, we just sit there and cry all the way home. The internet was even worse. The most talked about treatments always came with a host of possible side effects. Your temptation is to move quickly. You hear cancer and just want to get it out of your body. I resisted the temptation and took several months finding the treatment that was right for me, and I'm so glad I did. I wish in those early days we'd had a team of specialists like those at the Willamette Valley Cancer Institute to talk with us about all the options, not just the usual treatments. So you can't rely on friends and relatives or other men in your life who've had prostate cancer and do what they did. You really have to go through this process yourself and figure out what's the best treatment for you, or whether you really want to get treated at all at this point. Cancer did change my life, but not in the ways I thought it would. We chose a treatment that worked for us. Yes, this is not just your decision. Your wife needs to be part of that process. I think attitude is a huge part of cancer treatment, survival, and moving on. I didn't have to fight cancer, I had to fight Rick Dancer, me. Surviving cancer did have lasting effects on our lives. We discovered how much stronger we are and how short time really is when you think about it. We now do triathlons, our first half marathon. We cycle Oregon and try things we never dreamed of trying before. I'm not trying to glamorize cancer. There is nothing beautiful about it. But cancer let me stare death in the face and then walk away. There is something powerful in the gift of survival. Guys, the best advice I can give after going through this process is don't rush into anything. First of all, determine whether you need to be treated with your different doctors that you're going to go visit. If you do decide on treatment, look at the side effects and make sure you're comfortable with what's going to happen or what could happen. And then remember, you will get through this. Life is good now. My PSA is down to 0 for the first time in a decade. My side effects from the treatment are minimal. I look back at this video and remember that day like it was yesterday.
That's kind of where we're at. So keep praying, and I thank you. It'll get better. It'll get better. It'll get better.
I was right. It is getting much better.
It was brand new when Cy opened the store in 1978. 50 pounds of flour when we make the dough. It actually makes about 100 pounds of dough. We do this every day. Figure over 37 years, we've probably made 13,000 batches of dough or more. It's the foundation of the pizza. Kind of the idea is you're just tightening it, getting the air out. No cracks, no holes in it. So from that 2-pound ball that had about a 6-inch diameter, we're taking it out to about 20 inches. Fresh ingredients. We make our dough, we grate our own cheese, we make our sauce, and I like to think that we make our pizzas with love. All right, that's 21 incher. Size matters.
In October 2007, my hands got cold. And then they started getting really painful. A few months later, they started in the middle of the night. My thumbs and this finger here on both hands would wake me up, and the pain was really bad from tingling like they were asleep. The pain was excruciating, and then gradually they started turning translucent. I'd be driving down the road and the pain would shoot down through my hands so bad I'd have to let go of the steering wheel. I don't know how I survived. It took me 1.5 years, and I had gone through 5 doctors, and the 5th one was a PA. And because my skin had gotten so tight you couldn't pinch it, my mouth had shrunk, she knew that it was scleroderma. Scleroderma is an autoimmune disease which is sometimes progressive and sometimes fatal, because what it does is it causes fibrosis, which is caused from collagen buildup. And there's 2 types of systemic scleroderma. One is limited and one is diffuse. Diffuse is the worst. That's the one I have. What scleroderma has done to me is taken my muscles away from me. It made them very, very weak. I have stage 4 kidney disease with just the 1 kidney. I have a hiatal hernia. My esophagus is messed up. I have an aneurysm in my heart, and I have pulmonary fibrosis on my lungs, which gives me shortness of breath. Otherwise, I can't function like a normal human being anymore. Cancer on my shoulder, cancer on my cheek, and then a couple of months later it was in my vagina. It is hell. It is hell. My life and our life, the last 5 years, has been pure hell. I have to fight for awareness because it's been a hidden disease for 260 years. Because the medical field feels that it's too difficult and confusing to go out and take care of patients, provide care for patients, because it's too difficult and confusing to diagnose. Well, where does that leave the patient? 1.5 years for me to get a diagnosis, and some scleroderma patient takes 8 to 10 years. What motivates me is the people that are dying from scleroderma and they don't know how to voice their opinion. And I look at it this way, what have I got to lose? I don't have anything to lose. I have to get out there. I'm just a little person that started this foundation to get the publicity for this, because the faster you're diagnosed with this, the quicker they can treat the symptoms. You can't treat scleroderma, but you can treat the symptoms.
We could not do these shows without our sponsors. We want to thank Look Me in the Eye. You'll hear more about that in just a few minutes. And Women's Space, you're going to be hearing from a survivor there as well. But also Ranchito Grill over in Springfield. Best Mexican food in the area. Take a look at Abe and the crew.
What I will tell you, about our food is that we prepare everything from scratch. So we make sure we hire people that have the passion for making food. That's one of the ingredients. The other one, we make sure that our recipes, they use the ingredients that we tell them to use. And before we put it into the market, we make sure we test, try it. What I love about this business is the people. I'm a people person, so I love to interact with people, and I love to make people feel good.
Hi, I'm Rick Dancer. Welcome to What's Happening Downtown Eugene. And what's been happening in downtown Eugene for, as long as I can remember, is KLCC Radio. And Kyle Hughes is here joining us. We're going to talk about some changes and also a little festival that's coming up that I don't even have to tell you what it is because you all know. Kyle, thanks for being with us.
Thank you very much, Rick.
So talk about KLCC. What future planning? There's some changes, some things going on you're working on.
Yeah. Big things at KLCC. So you have mentioned it's been around for a while, 48 years in fact. KLCC is one of the charter members of the NPR News Network.
That's cool.
1970. We are part of Lane Community College. And about 8 years ago, we moved our studios downtown after a very successful capital campaign to be closer to the revitalization efforts. And so I think a lot of big things have happened since then. But of course, with KLCC, our big focus right now is the 2016 Microbrew Festival.
This thing, when did you first start the Brew Festival? Because I feel like I've been going forever. When did it start?
Well, it had been around for a while before KLCC took it over. Previously, I think it was a fundraiser for the Easter Seals, if you remember them. And so we've been doing it. This will be the 14th iteration of the KLCC Microbrew Festival. Wow. And it will be bigger and better than ever.
I mean, you guys have really made a name for this, where people, it's at the fairground, you need the fairgrounds to get everybody in.
Right, and I've been lobbying for the last couple of years that we actually take over the hall next door too and make it even bigger. But we're really maximizing the space. This year we'll have 83 breweries and over 200 beers.
Now, how important is the funding that you get from that?
Oh, it's huge. It's really huge. As a public radio station, fundraising is a big part of what we are forced to do every year. And so you've heard us on the air, 2 or 3 times a year, you'll hear us making the pitch on air. Well, that accounts for a big portion of our annual fundraising, our annual revenue. But about 7 to 10% of our operating expenses are funded through this one festival, 2 days, the Friday evening and all day Saturday around Valentine's Day weekend this year.
What I love about KLCC is you're still, there's not a lot of local options for media anymore.
Less and less.
Most of the TV stations are owned by some bigger company in town, so you still have that, and you guys still cover the news.
Absolutely, that's our primary focus, of course.
How does your connection with OPB and also public radio in Portland? I mean, you're really NPR. You're really connected in all those areas.
Certainly. So NPR is it's one of the largest independent news networks in the entire world, and there are currently about 900 affiliate stations. OPB and KLCC are both affiliate stations. So while we are part of a shared network of resources, we are independent operations. OPB does TV as well. KLCC is strictly on the radio. But we do a lot of collaboration, and it's something that you may see more of as we move forward in the coming years.
When you're looking at strategic plans, what is it? Are there any big changes you can talk about coming up, or what do you?
Certainly, I can.
You can tease us just a little bit.
I can't give it all away just yet. But you will see a renewed focus on local news coverage. We're going to strengthen our news service, perhaps expand our news team, and that can happen as early as this year. We will also be really renewing our focus on community engagement. So how you see KLCC in the community, where we are, where we partner, what events we're participating in. Hopefully we'll be more visible and take a more active role in convening conversations, such as downtown revitalization and economic development.
Because you guys have been very involved with the TAD Talks and the different technology events that are going on, the hackathon that's coming up.
Yeah. Very happy to see the momentum in this area right now in this community, and KLCC is a proud participant in that.
Do you see that as your role, as a radio station's role, is not to set the tone, but to allow the conversation? And we desperately need, in this country and this community, to know how to have a conversation.
Oh, certainly, yeah. And our mission has evolved over the past 48 years. We started as an engineering project out of the basement of Lane Community College up on the main campus. A couple of engineering students got together, loved jazz music, wanted to get it out there. Over the course of the last nearly 50 years, we've had a growing emphasis on news, and our mission statement had most recently been to reflect the needs of the community. And we are now focusing more on engaging the community, enriching the mind and the spirit. And so we are more and more seeing ourselves as conveners of a conversation, a place to get people together to focus on issues rather than just repeat it or bounce back stuff that is happening.
All right, so we'll look for that in the coming year. And don't forget the Microbrew Festival. And again, when is it, and how do people find out more about it?
Valentine's Day weekend this year. It's February 12th and the 13th. It'll be at Lane Fairgrounds, the event center. All the information is on our website, klcc.org. But I really encourage people to participate in the event because it is such a big part of our funding. You can participate by volunteering, by showing up. 100% of the proceeds go to fund KLCC.
This is about KLCC and community.
Absolutely, yeah.
That's a good beer.
Exactly. There's two main things that I think is pretty essential to Oregonians. Quality public radio that really upholds values of journalistic integrity in an environment with decreasing options for great news.
Right.
And also, of course, celebrating wonderful craft beverages, namely beer, ciders, and meads even.
All right. Cal, thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Rick.
That's what's happening in downtown Eugene.
I hear her saying, yeah, you had a rough childhood, and I'm like, really? Wake up, you fell again.
It was, 20 years ago, actually. So I was pregnant with my 19-year-old, and Job was 6.
When Andrea Cooley and her son Job took refuge at Women's Space, neither understood the impact 1 week would have on their lives.
I was pretty well caught up in a really emotional time that week, and so I was spending a lot of time utilizing the services. I mean, I remember talking to a lot of people and trying to get emotionally available for him because I was a wreck.
Wake up, this is real. I think I might have, skewed memories that are just covered by perspective.
Perspective Job first discovered while spending time in a women's space shelter 2 decades ago. But Andrea and Job never talked about that week or the violence until recently.
When this came up, I asked him, do you remember Women's Space? And he said, yeah, I remember Women's Space. I said, well, what do you remember?
Say I don't understand, I don't. I can't see the point in treating yourself so low. We walked in the door, and the first thing I remember is, this big box of, stuffed animals. It literally, she walks up, she goes, hey, pick a stuffed animal, and everybody in the room, all the kids, they all got stuffed animals, and they're going like this, and they're showing me what they got, and I'm just like, okay. I was like, this is great.
Andrea had no idea Job remembered any of it. She hoped he wouldn't remember the battles. It never dawned on her he would remember shelter as one of the best times.
I think the hardest thing being an abuse survivor is that you think you did a terrible job parenting because you didn't get out right away, or because you went back to try to make it work, or whatever reasons. I could kick myself over and over for the next 20 years that I didn't do this right, or that, but I've learned not to.
My biggest memories of it was just basically, hey, come play with everybody, this is a great place. Mom's walking off, and you know, talking to all her friends, and I think, you know, I'm like, man, is this some kind of like alternative school or something?
So Women's Space really helped me be there for him, you know, and because I couldn't be, you know, completely. And so they were there for me, and we were all there for him, and he was able to maintain a childhood. Gosh, it makes me think of that one song of Job's actually right now. But look to those who love you. There's people that love you. There always are.
There are struggles in us all. Look for help from the ones who love you.
The mission of Women's Space is to prevent domestic violence in intimate partner relationships and support survivors in claiming personal power. Part of that support includes protecting children, and in doing so, creating better communities.
I did keep him protected, and that I did do the right thing, even though it was it was the hardest circumstance, basically, of my life, you know. So yeah, it felt really good. But it's never too late. It's never too late, especially if you have kids. That's how I look at it. I mean, I stayed off and on 18 years, and not just one abusive relationship.
Women need support, and so do their children. At Women's Space, the commitment is to both, and in the end, it's the community as a whole that is better off.
Even in our roughest times, which, you know, I mean, I do remember a couple times just, you know, me and her, I mean, living in some houses, everything was still, you know, from her energy and the way she, you know, made everything appear, everything was, you know, really good.
And I guess that's the thing I would tell other women. Don't ever be afraid to ask for help. You're better and stronger. Now I'm gonna get that teary thing. You're better and stronger than you know. You know, and it took 20 years to find out I was better and stronger than I knew.
What Women's Space volunteers and staff did 20 years ago changed the next generation in this family and gave hope and inspiration to a young songwriter and his mother.
You know, now I feel like, you know, as an adult, it's like, I mean, I can take on the world.
That tells me Women's Space works. You know, I mean, it's a wonderful place to go when you need help.
I think, you know, she should be a very proud mother.
We are told not to stare.
All they see is just my face.
We look away because we don't know what else to do.
They just see my face, they can tell.
We make assumptions that can make Amelia Abel and others like her feel unimportant, forgotten, even invisible.
I do matter. Gentle, gentle. Good job. It's awesome. No, I've been here for almost 4 years now. See that? Want to try that?
Amelia Abel works at the Sheldon Daycare.
I've been working with 2 to 5-year-old kids. No, they really don't understand that they think that I'm just a regular person.
Amelia is a person with abilities and strengths.
Being here for the last couple of years now here, many parents are just admiring me and how good with the with her kids. Vincent, slip on the...
Full Access assists Amelia by teaching her to cook, to shop, and to manage her money. With the agency's help, Amelia can live on her own, get from place to place by herself.
I will, thanks.
And she recently became a member of the Downtown Eugene Lions Club. But to understand Amelia and all she's capable of, you must first look her in the eye.
I have it on good authority that Lion Amelia is very, very good about talking about the lions.
At 22, Amelia understands she has a place. She speaks out on behalf of Look Me in the Eye and the rights of all people, including people with disabilities.
I'm a normal girl, basically. I'm a normal girl like other girl or woman out there. Just wanted to have the same freedom for everyone.
My friend Marilyn, wonderful person. I love her. She's very happy. She's very smart. She wants to learn everything. She wants to go and be a part of everything. And she wants to go with these people every day. Go and see and learn and be a part of the world outside of a wonderful sheltered home that she lived in.
Marilyn moved into the Oregon Supported Living Program home a few years ago at the age of 61.
Marilyn stayed home with Mom and Dad for most of your life.
Marilyn worked at LCC for 37 years.
She didn't know if she would have a life. She'd have a life when Mom and Dad died. Now she knows she has a life here, and that's really exciting.
People with disabilities are oftentimes overlooked or marginalized.
If you don't look them in the eye, you can't communicate. Communication is a part of looking at somebody and getting to know who that person is, and everybody deserves that.
Do you matter, Marilyn? You matter.
Marilyn important. Marilyn important. And Marilyn has a lot to give and to teach people.
People are important. People do matter. Productivity is measured not in what you get done, but in how you do it.
Everybody's important. She's a part of our community.
Including Amelia, Marilyn, and others like them in our community is so important for them and for us.
If you ask her staff, they will tell you they're learning from Marilyn. Marilyn's the teacher.
I think it's important just to give out the message to people, kids, parents, just to know that everyone has their own unique ways. But that does not mean they're different. It means that this is the way that who they are